Bizaar here at the Dim Carnival. It's just this whip. Walk through a spider web.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the Dim Carnival. I'm Bill.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Ryan.
And this is a fantabulous journey through the mystical, wicked hollows of
the little appetizer, little vampiro appetizer?
Insane Clown Posse. And this week we are continuing our journey through Bizaar with 2 A's, which is the first album from the Bizaar double set that came out on October 31st, 2000, Halloween. And guys, we're recording this in October.
Wow.
It's exciting. It's the best month.
Yikes.
There's a giant spider on my house right now.
Oh, you should take care of that.
It's very scary.
What do you guys do? What's your spider protocol? I know, Ryan, you just smash the spider up with your bare hands.
Yep, try to, or eat it if I can.
Try and lure it into your mouth. You're like, most people swallow 4 spiders a year while they're asleep. I'd do them while I'm awake.
Right, I'm bringing up that average a lot for carrying that average for a lot of people.
Oh, yeah. You're doing your part.
Yeah, I gotta kill the spider. If a spider comes, I appreciate spiders out of doors. There is one certain type of spider that I get in my neighborhood in the fall time around this time. That is a big, gnarly, scary-looking spider. Much bigger and scarier than all the other spiders that live around here. And when those ones come, you gotta kill them. Because if you don't kill, if you just knock down the web, they'll build it up again. And they build these huge, beautiful webs, which is really unfortunate. I feel terrible knocking them down. But if you don't kill the spider, it'll lay its eggs, and then the spiders will be there every single time, and they build these huge webs that go across my driveway, and I've walked through them where the spider like lands on my ear or whatever, and the spider's as big as my ear, so it's like really terrifying. Mm-hmm. So these ones gotta die outside.
That's messed up. Those are orbital spiders, and those things are badass. We have 3 of them in our backyard right now.
Yeah, if I didn't have to walk through their webs and get them in my clothes, then I would be cool with it. But
they've made them across our back doors, so the sliding glass doors. So we've walked out into it before, but we just take them to the bushes. We just pick them up and take them to the bush, and then they make their home in the new bush where we put them.
Have you guys ever done the thing where you shine your flashlight or your phone flash into a bush and see all the spider eyes looking back at you?
I've seen a video of that, and it's horrifying.
Yeah, I'm not brave enough to do it in real life.
No, I've never seen a bunch of spider eyes looking back at me. I at nighttime when I'm out there in the backyard, I'll shine my light on those because that's usually when they're eating, so it's cool. I've caught some flies in the house before and taken them out and put them in their webs so they can eat the flies.
So you're what I'm getting from this, Steve, is that your technique is to leave the spider be.
Yeah. I mean,
do you catch the spider and put it outside?
I try to, but it's not always convenient to do it. Like, they might be in a place and they might be wicked and looking. And cause some don't look so bad. And some, like, I can tell, like, if I have like 2 or 3 spider bites on my legs and there's a big fat one, making home by my bed.
Licking his chops.
Yeah.
Picking his teeth with a toothpick.
I have to say, I tend to kill that one. And I feel bad, but I still do it. But like Daddy Longlegs, I'll just let Daddy Longlegs and stuff just live in my room with me. It just depends on the spider.
Well, Daddy Longlegs, Mythbusters proved you can have 1 million of them bite you and they can't hurt you.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't mess with you usually. The things that bother me about Daddy Longlegs is they're clumsy, especially like if you have enamel paint on your walls, so they're slick. Sometimes I'll see one cruising across the top of near my bed, and it's on high up on the wall, like near where the ceiling's about to start, and it like slips, and I'm like, oh no, you're out, dude. You're not falling on me. That's not gonna happen.
You had one chance and you fucked it up.
Yep.
There's the spider showing up right now to
I know.
give you a piece of his mind.
That's a loud motorcycle.
I heard you were talking about my girl. Well, that's some fun spider discussion, but what we're really here to talk about is that's like you for sure can't cut that out, Ryan, because that's the whole intro to this episode.
Oh, 6 minutes.
Yep, that's good stuff. All right, well, we're glad that you joined us, everybody. We got a little bit carried away last time because we were supposed to go all the way up through track 5, Whut, featuring Twiztid. But we got too carried away talking about the good songs off of the front half of the album, and also rainbows and stuff. So we're gonna try and get through at least 3 of these tracks this week. I mean, if we don't get through 3, we're doing something wrong. But the next tracks coming up are Whut, featuring Twiztid, Still, Stabbin, Tilt-A-Whirl, We Gives No Fuck. If we don't make it through all 4 of those, we apologize in advance. But we're gonna jump in right now. We're gonna talk about Whut, featuring Twiztid, spelled with a U. If you haven't listened to this song yet, go ahead and take a listen right now. Guys, this is a pretty good song.
What?
I do like this song. This is a good one.
Yeah. All right, well, moving on. We'll talk about Still Stabbin'.
So this song, Whut? Did you guys know that this song was originally recorded with Violent J and Esham?
Whoa. I didn't know that at all.
Yep, so you guys can check that out if you just like, on YouTube or whatever. Whut with Esham, and you can hear it. And it's very, very weird because, and actually, Jiggles, Jeremy, he pointed this out to me in an email, and let me know. And the lyrics are basically the same, so it's weird to hear Violent J singing Shaggy's raps or whatever.
Oh,
doing
wow.
Shaggy's raps.
So he definitely wrote Shaggy's raps in this song, is what you're saying.
Right, because that song came out originally, earlier. It was recorded that way first. So it's at least an indicator. I mean, there's a few lines that are different.
Mm-hmm.
But he does say nuclear.
Yes.
Which was a note that I wrote before knowing that. Going back and listening, I was like, oh, Shaggy.
Yeah. Guys, this is a song about, and some could say that this is a consistent theme throughout ICP's body of work, is that they just don't give a fuck about anything. And this is the titular Whut is it ends basically every line in the song, and it's basically just like, I'm gonna act however I want to act, and you can't tell me anything. And I'm proud of being, this guy who doesn't give a fuck. And I'm proud of being a juggalo. And the choruses are very fun. And the outro chorus is absolutely incredible. But we'll get to that. But this starts off with some Your Mama jokes, right? And Wilmer Valderrama invites you to tell the best Your Mama joke. Does this not start with the... I'm correct, right? It
I don't know
starts
what you're
off with...
talking about.
It doesn't start off with Twiztid telling a couple of Yo Mama jokes?
I don't believe so, no.
Are they in the middle of the song?
There's a part where they say your mom lives in a two-story burrito bag.
Okay, yeah. So I'm not insane. All right, cool. Thanks,
this
guys.
This is where we get the line with the titty with the glass titty with the screw on nipple.
Yeah. Okay, so I thought that was at the beginning, but it's in the middle of the song. Sorry, my bad. She got a wooden leg with a birdhouse in it. So this song is about them saying, like, here's all the things that I would do. Here's all the things that I'll fearlessly do, which, is in line with Fearless. It's in line with We Gives No Fuck. But this is very, very, I don't know if it's, I mean, it's obviously confrontational, but I don't know if it's confrontational because it's just sort of like stating things. It's not like, I'm going to fuck you up. Like, I don't know what I'm saying.
I think I know what you're saying, Bill. And to me, this is like what I ultimately took away from it is that I feel like they're just being edgy, like generically edgy. Like they're not even really committing to anything. They're just saying like, I'm edgy.
Well, Shaggy 2-Dope's verse, which I guess was originally Violent J's verse, isn't really confrontational. It's just about being a big fucking weirdo, which I really like because he talks about he spreads herpes every time he coughs, has lice in his armpits, sells nuclear bomb home kits. Now, possibly my favorite line of the song, and I think Steve knows where I'm going here, is I wash my neighbor in the shower, then waggle my dick for a half an hour, and accompanied by a sound effect. Now, guys, here's the thing. In your mind, at any point hearing that line, did you ever imagine his neighbor is a woman?
Only like really this time. But never.
Yeah, just like in your most recent listen, right?
Yeah, only most recently, but never previously.
So I don't know why. I don't know what it is. Only until this year, when I re-listened to this song, did I ever even conceive that he might be talking about a woman. Because I don't know what it is about the delivery, about the context of the song, but it's like, I watched my neighbor in the shower waggle my dick for a half an hour. Like, he's definitely talking about a male neighbor. Just like, that has always been in my brain. Like, the very first time I heard that line, I was like, oh, he looks at his male neighbor in the shower and then just waggles his dick. And I don't know if it's because it's a joke, because like the sound effect clearly makes it a joke, or if it's the word waggle, because he's not necessarily masturbating. He's just looking at someone in the shower and then like idly fiddling with his ding dong. Because guys, we all own ding dongs, and we all got to fiddle with them from time to time, and it's not a sexual thing. Sometimes you just gotta waggle it.
I've seen a baseball game.
We've watched Married with Children. Guys, with the Married with Children thing, him like slipping just the fingers of his hand into the top of his pants, like, that's meant to denote like a guy just having his hand around his nuts, right? Like, but they can't show it on television. That's what I understand Married with Children to be representing, right?
Oh, I don't know, man. You don't just sit with your hand in your waistband?
No! Well, I'm fat, so my waistband doesn't work like that.
Oh. Yeah.
It just always made me think of the joke about, like, why do bald guys have holes in their pockets so they can run their fingers through their hair?
Yeah. That's like a famous John's bathroom reader joke.
Yeah.
What's it called? What is Uncle Milty's bathroom reader? I don't remember what they're called. Jesus, Steve.
That's just always what I thought of. Like, he was just running his fingers through his hair.
Ass joke. Yeah. Anyway, but so it's definitely what we're saying is it's definitely a male neighbor.
I never answered because I instantly thought he was a peeping Tom. I instantly thought peeping Tom ever since I've heard it.
So 1 in 3 listeners. It's the right ratio. So the other line that I always thought about is, I'd slap John Gotti right here, only he's locked up now.
Not so near.
So yeah. I think he's just saying, like, I don't know. Well, in the Isham one, he says Suge Knight instead of John Gotti. But
the rest of it's the same?
Yes.
So wait, the Isham rhymes are the same, but Violent J's just saying them now?
I didn't listen to the whole track, but, so I don't know. I don't even remember hearing Isham's verse. I didn't even get to Isham's verse.
Oh, okay. So Violent J's doing like the whole thing up until okay, got it. This is a line that you alluded to the last episode we had, Steve, where you're talking about I put old ladies in headlocks and run when they asked for blocks. Where we're talking, like, we were having the discussion about like violence against women and like comedic violence against like all people, and I think that this right here is like the perfect, like, he's talking about a form of violence against a woman and against an elderly woman, but it's like a benign violence, if that makes sense, because he's just putting someone in a headlock and then running. Like,
Yeah, like there's a complete absurdity to it.
yeah,
And,
it's
yeah.
like you would do to your little brother, like, woo.
I know, I'm conflicted with then Churchill Russell Nunn and Twist Her Nipples and Run.
Yeah, I mean, even that's just like, if a nun's already consenting to wrestle you, like,
But
what's a
is
purple
she?
nurple?
I don't assume she is. I just picture him like busting into a Catholic church and finding a nun and then start wrestling. Yeah, good stuff. But I love the I'll slap Michael Jackson's face off. That
Yes, this is I believe the third track on the album that references Michael Jackson. Just as the previous runner was 3 straight songs that mentioned bees, now we've got 3 straight songs that mention Michael Jackson. And we didn't talk about it in Fearless, but I do enjoy the I'll go up to Michael Jackson's surgeon and tell him, hey, do me up.
Do me up, yeah.
Which is the first time I'd ever heard something like in that vein, and now the like fuck me up fam is like pretty much a standard trope or meme or whatever. I do want to say about this album, guys. So I signed up to do the Los Angeles Dodgers 5K, and I accidentally did a 10K. I showed up at the time they told me to show up, and I started running, and then like 2 miles in, I was like, oh, this is definitely not 5K. And I hadn't been training for a 10K, but I did the 10K, and I started off listening to an Alkaline Trio album, and then I switched over to this album. And I gotta say, guys, this album is extremely good to run several miles to.
Nice.
Yeah. And it allowed me to give one final very deep listen to this album, because what else was I going to do? So the other thing I want to point out about Shaggy's verse is, I'll be that neighborhood creep singing voodoo chants in my sleep, combined with the voodoo drums in the background, is extremely good. And also, like, I really enjoy the idea of, like, every neighborhood has a creep that sings voodoo chants in their sleep. Like, there goes Mr. Larson. He does the voodoo thing.
So right after that, he says, I rent studios and don't pay. And that was one of the voicemails at the beginning, was from the record store, the recording studio, saying that they had an overdue balance. And so Mike cuts in and is like, don't, come on, Shaggy, don't play. Because they're inside the recording booth of the studio. Like, they're rapping about how they're not going to pay the studio that they're in right now.
Right. It's a very good cameo. By the way, after we talked about the voicemail last time, I did go watch some of the Moon Glorious videos. There are many of them online. And basically the joke is just like, it's Jay is like a fairly, like, he's a character that like doesn't really like emote or react except like to hit on one of their friends, and then gets really sad when you call him out on it. But I do like the straight mouth line where Jay can either smile or frown depending on how Moon Glorious is feeling.
Yeah, that was one of the things that that Rob mentioned, actually. He said, so we got another couple of emails from Jeremy and from Rob, and so I'll probably be mentioning some things that each of them said about these, like, through the next couple of episodes as they come up. But one of those things was what I had asked before about Moon Glorious, and so Rob lets us know that he was on the Shaggy Show for a few years, but he doesn't talk or doesn't say anything. He acts really awkward. He rhymes when he talks, and he likes to talk about astronomy. And it's like you said, that he is kind of there's this air of homosexuality or whatever about him, or hitting on guys, I guess. And according to Rob, he feels like it's somewhat homophobic. It's like a homophobic joke, the character, but that Rob says that some queer juggalos really like the character. So I'll take Rob's word for that.
It always makes me really happy to think about there being queer juggalos. It's just it's it's a cool thing. Like, I think it's awesome. But yeah, I think like Moon Glorious has like his like catchphrase is something like moon and stars penis large. But yeah, he talks about Big Hoodoo having a big penis and like puts his hand on Big Hoodoo's thigh and stuff. So I can definitely see the homophobic aspects. Like, they're not hard to see. But the fact that there are apparently queer juggalos that enjoy the character is of course good. And who are we to tell people what to like?
Well, one thing I don't like, Bill, is syphilis. And Violent J is really open about talking about his sexually transmitted diseases in his book, his audiobook. Yeah. He mentions the pizza dick that he gets, and the doctor gives him a shot right in his pizza dick, and then it magically gets better. And as of the recording of the audiobook, he promises that if anybody wants to see his dick, he'll show it to anybody, and that it's clean as a whistle.
That's clean.
But he says in this song, that he got syphilis 3 times. Yeah. So, I mean.
But he also committed mad felony crimes. I do like I like the Twiztid stuff also, obviously. They'll smoke until their lungs explode, guys, which seems unwise.
That's a lot of smoking.
Like, so the Violet J and Shaggy stuff is like pretty laid back and like, oh yeah, I'm just a big fucking weirdo. Like, this is the stuff that I'm into. I'm into weird stuff. And like so their stuff is like, oh yeah, like I'll fucking pour Percocets in a bowl and eat them like cereal. Like, I'm a weirdo. And then Twiztid comes in, they're like, I'll fucking kill people who look at me weird. There's like, it's funny because like there's a big disconnect, but it doesn't feel like that big a disconnect.
I mean, like, if you really listen to it, you're like, wow, that's a real difference in tone. But no, I think it all kind of goes together. I mean, I've always felt like Twiztid matched so well with ICP. They just go well.
Yeah. It's just like peanut butter and jelly. That's right. I love I talk to the dead on the phone. If you ain't dead, leave me the fuck alone.
Yeah, that's my favorite line.
And I also love when they say, I call myself a juggalo and scream it everywhere that I go. I love Violet J's juggalo.
I like when I'm listening to songs like this, I always mentally picture it. And so, the idea of just someone walking around screaming juggalo, living in San Francisco or working in San Francisco, like I see people walking around yelling lots of things.
Right. Oh, my neighborhood too.
Yeah, I imagine you guys got it too. And it's just like, I wish someone would walk around yelling juggalo. I feel there's two more things we have to address here. One is the Twiztid says Twiztid Freak Show and Clown Bizaar. Freak Show came out the same day that both of these albums came out. So Twiztid's second Psychopathic Records /Island release came out the same day as these two albums. That's a lot of fucking Juggalo stuff that all drops on one day. Yeah. Ryan, is it possible that there was even more Juggalo stuff that dropped on this day?
So, to answer your question, the answer is no. There were 2 other albums that weren't out, but there was plans for there to be more albums released. These albums were actually part of a set of albums that ICP had initial conversations about with Twiztid and Isham, about putting out a set of albums all together, because it just happened to be a confluence of them all having these albums coming out at the same time. So they thought, let's do something really big to put them all out together. And their idea was that each one would be a volume that, when you put them all together, would create a book, the Book of the Dead, the Necronomicon. Mm-hmm. And inside, and they had ideas, and you can check out, like on Fago Lovers, there's articles about this that really break it down. There's going to be like little, how ICP does all that crazy flavor of like maps and secret messages and all of that. Yes. And so one of the pieces of trivia is that originally Bizaar had different names when they were conceptualizing this idea. And the names are, I can't even say them, because it's just letters. So it's Hickmig, Hicmig, was going to be one, and the other one is I'm going to say Esom, Esomn. And if you read them, the first letter, second letter, third letter, like that, if you stack them and read them that way, it spells out he is coming. Well, actually spells out he is calming, Comming. And that's given as one of the reasons why they decided not to do it.
Because they spelled it all wrong.
They misspelled it. Yeah, they misspelled the word. They didn't want to look like dummies.
And that is why some of the letters on Bizaar and Bizaar are capitalized and some are lowercase, because that's like a holdover from like the jumbled up letter stuff.
See, that part I didn't know.
I believe that is the case, because I think I've seen mock-ups of the original titles of these albums, and they are like a random capital letter here and there. I believe that is accurate. Could be wrong. Who knows? But that's wild.
Yeah, so the albums were the Bizaar, Freak Show, the Dark Lotus, Lotus Pod, and Isham's album. And there was a Hollow Wicked box set that Jeremy emailed me. I think I'm just going to post the picture that he sent me of the box set that was sold at Hollow Wicked for these 3 albums, and they all had alternative art covers, whatever. That looks pretty cool. So I'll post that to the Instagram later, so you guys can check that out.
That's awesome. Like we had discussed before, like it's pretty wild that like ICP had enough stuff to put out a complete, not even a double album, 2 albums. And it still wasn't the 6 Jokers card. Like, they put out this much stuff, and also a Twiztid album came out that day.
Well, and I believe the story to that is that they didn't want to put out the 6 Jokers card. Their relationship with Island started to get strained a little bit. I guess Island was bought out by another larger record company. And so ICP wasn't happy with the relationship anymore, and they were trying to get out. They didn't want the 6th album to come out on this record label that they didn't like anymore. So I think they were doing this in part to fulfill their contractual obligation to put out some records.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, Island lucked out, because these albums fucking rule. I remember I went to a Tower Records in San Francisco, and like we were talking about, like, and I saw these albums, and I listened to some of them on the listening stations. Remember listening stations, guys? Wow.
Oh, yeah, man.
Yeah.
Blockbuster Music was the shit.
Well, I liked Tower better, because like Blockbuster Music was like you had to wait in line, and they had to open up the album, and it was like a big hassle.
Not in mine.
All right, well, good for you.
But Tower was great, especially the Stonestown Tower. I sometimes I miss details or things slip by, and I go back and listen, and I forgot, and I missed that when you mentioned before that you were at the Stonestown Tower.
Mm-hmm.
Good store.
It was a great store, man. Good lord.
I saw Rancid.
What? Where?
Yeah. Riding up the escalator, I was behind.
Oh.
not a concert.
Yeah, I thought you meant like an Amoeba Music in-store style. Like, I thought you meant like I watched a Rancid show there.
No, I just saw.
Is that what you thought, Ryan?
Yeah, that's what I thought, yeah.
I mean, I said it that way. So. Yeah, I was just riding up the escalator, and the person I was with, Rancid, and I must have said it loud enough because one of them looked at me like, "Oh crap, this guy's gonna bother us," and then I never did.
You flipped him off.
Yeah. I said, "You guys suck."
My dick Rancid.
Great.
I have a gold record. I have a
golden ticket.
No, that's true.
I have a golden ticket.
A friend of mine and his wife, so I guess 2 friends of mine, were given a gold record by Rancid for Out Come the Wolves because they were really good friends with Rancid, and they didn't have any room in their house for it anymore, so I bought it off.
Wow, that's rad.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked about it. All right, someday I'll have a place to hang it. So guys, the last thing that we have to talk about on this album is the outro chorus, which is so fucking great and good. So we talked a little bit last time about how Violent J sings an awful lot, and he doesn't really get credit for singing a lot. But once he sings next to Shaggy 2 Dope, who can't sing even 3 notes, you get a little bit more better appreciation for him. But in the penultimate chorus, like sort of the music drops out, and he's styling on the chorus a little bit. He's singing, "Be who I want to be, act how I want to act," and then he whispers, "Mike, get the guitar." and it's fucking great. And he starts up again, and the music starts coming back in and building up, and he says, "Fuck you and you and you, forever Jack now," and just goes for it. And then the guitar comes in, and it's just kicking amazing amounts of ass, and he just is wailing, and it's great. It is a very triumphant into this song, and like, despite how you feel about the rest of the song, like, how can you not be pumped up as hell when this song is over?
Ah, it's great. I love that too. I certainly mentioned that. I love when he says Mike gets.
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah, it makes me think of that kind of fun element that in the last track that we'll get to, where they just really spent a lot of time goofing around. Like,
yeah, it sounds. I bet, like, I would imagine, like, they probably had maybe some of the most fun in their lives recording these two albums.
It sounds really, really fun.
Yeah. So Mikey Clark is very much a living figure in the Song of Whut. He appears in it. He's referenced in it. He's playing all the instruments. He's making all the sounds. God bless you, Mikey Clark.
All of the sounds except for one, which I'm told, and I'm gonna believe my source, Jeremy. You know, he's got to be reliable. Emailed us and let me know that on this track, Whut, this is the first ICP track to have a live drummer on it.
Oh.
And the drums are played by, I believe it's the dude who continues to play drums with them occasionally or whatever, or did after this, is Eric. I'm not going to say his last name right. Hegmeyer.
Uh-huh.
So anyways, that's a dude. So there's a live drum track on this
That's
recording.
awesome. It shows. You can actually really tell. So let's go ahead and move on. Wait, we don't have any further Whut thoughts, do we?
No, other than, when they do, I mean, this is clearly like kind of rap rock sounding,
Sure.
you know? And I always thought one of the things that distinguished ICP from not being rap rock, if you wanted to say they're not rap rock, was because they, usually sample the music and they don't have the live people. So I noticed that they've always made fun of Limp Bizkit, and since last time we recorded,
Yes.
it's apparently Shaggy 2 Dope tried to drop kick Fred Durst off the stage at a concert, and
I guess we really need to talk about this. Like,
It's in my notes, so yeah.
It's some big news. All right, keep going.
And I tend to agree with the Juggalos that I was reading on Twitter, where people were making fun of him, saying, "Oh, the dumbass couldn't even do it right." But I agree that there was interference with by the stage security that thwarted him from being able to continue with the kick to connect and knock him off the stage. But I've never heard anything about it since, and it's been over a week now, I guess, that it's happened. It's been a week since I ain't washed my ass. What? But, so, I mean, I don't know. Is there anything else that ever came out about it? I mean, did he get in trouble? Why did they hate Limp Bizkit?
Well, the last I heard, he was, like, they were waiting to see if anyone was going to press charges. But, so here's the thing. ICP and Limp Bizkit have collaborated before, or at least have, like, hung out before at a certain point. Like, they had beef back when ICP had beef with everybody in the world. And from what I understood, they were like cool, up until this most recent thing. But, Shaggy runs in. I cannot imagine there's anyone listening to this podcast that hasn't seen the clip. But if you haven't, please God, go watch this clip because it's incredible. There are many angles of it available for you to break down and, peruse. But Shaggy 2 Dope without face paint comes on stage during a Limp Bizkit show as Fred Durst is performing Faith, and he attempts to throw a dropkick to the back of Fred Durst and knock him off the stage into the crowd, but absolutely 100% whiffs on a very like Jeff Jarrett style 80s dropkick, and is like maybe one of the worst attempts at a dropkick I've ever seen. But my take on it, and as you said, Steve, the fact that no one has commented or followed up on it a week after the fact seems very strange. My take on it, when the first time I saw it, was like, this is a thing that like Shaggy was like, oh, maybe I'll come on stage and like drop kick you off stage or something. And Fred Durst was like, yeah, go for it. like it doesn't really seem like a very malicious thing. And like, even if you're going to like try and fuck up Fred Durst, like you would not try and drop kick him off the stage into the crowd. Like, if you're trying to take a shot, like even if you are a professional wrestler clown, like if you were trying to fight Fred Durst or hurt Fred Durst, like there's a million better ways you could do it and more effective and like guaranteed. So like if he was trying to take a cheap shot at Fred Durst, like it just seemed to me like a kind of like Carney kayfabe, like fucking around with your buddy. Like there's so many people who like fuck around with their buddies and like they would just shove someone or like punch someone into a crowd and they're like super good friends, you know? That's how
Yeah, man. I feel like Shaggy's athletic enough to kick a dude if he's trying to kick him. Like his foot's gonna hit him at least. You know? I felt like he could just jump straight up in the air. It was like a drop kick. It's like a fake wrestling move. You know?
Yeah.
It didn't look like he was really trying to hit him to me. It looked like he was doing a big stunt. And you wouldn't do that on stage in front of everybody unless you were just jerking around.
I guess the most recent thing that happened was after 4 days after the dropkick was thrown, the Iron Sheik tweeted, did you guys see this?
Yeah.
The Shaggy 2 Dope was the TOO. The Shaggy 2 Dope, you are a good man, but your dropkick is fucking drizzling shit's even worse than the Brian Blair. Also at DJ Lethal is my brother. I don't like to see my brothers fight, Bubba. And DJ Lethal of Limp Bizkit screenshotted this on Instagram and said, ha ha ha, thank you, Mr. Iron Sheik, for making a funny situation even funnier. Hashtag truce. We don't need any more violence in these times. There are bigger issues in the world. Peace and love. So, there you go.
And we know ICP's cool with Lethal.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And also, like, he said you made a funny situation even funnier. Like, he wasn't like, oh, you know, we're going to end this beef. He's like, oh, this is stupid, and it's time to move on. So, yeah.
Whenever I watch ICP tracks in my garage on YouTube or whatever, the same ICP track always gets recommended, and I can't wait till we get to this album, but they did an album of covers. And they did a cover of House of Pain's Jump Around.
Mm-hmm.
And
ICP?
And it's fucking awesome.
Oh,
it's got a great video.
Yeah, it's a great video.
Wow.
I can't wait till we get to it. It's great.
Gonna check that shit out.
Brains and jaw. Slip it all through a straw.
I like how he says, I never eat a pig, but I'll eat pig slop.
Yes.
That's the best line of the whole song. It just sums it up. It just sums up ICP perfect. I love it so much. And he's like sitting there saying it with the straightest face a person could have. Wearing a beanie and clown makeup. In an Irish bar.
Oh, it's so good.
Oh, God. All right. I'm supposed to be talking about that.
You can talk about whatever you want. But you know what? If it's okay with them, you know, them, you guys in general, I'd like to talk about Still Stabbin'. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Well, if you haven't listened to it yet, go ahead and take a listen right now. So, guys, this is a sequel, a true sequel to one of our consensus favorite tracks off of the Amazing Jekyll Brothers, which we all agreed was nowhere near long enough, so they fixed it. So the original track on Amazing Jekyll Brothers was I Stab People. Now we're back with Still Stabbin'. It's basically the same beat. It's the same topic. It's just Violet J talking about more of his exploits in his addiction to stabbing people. And is real good.
You know what, guys? I'm
you don't like it at all.
Not a huge,
you hate
not a huge fan. I feel like it's like the Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Oh, yeah, that's fair.
Still Stabbin'.
Too much of a good thing,
1.
is what you're saying?
Too much of a good thing. It's just too much. Gotta water this down a little bit.
Here's what I will say. Guardians of the Galaxy 1 is a perfect movie, but it doesn't have the interplay between Drax and Mantis. Which is indispensable.
Don't get me wrong, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is great.
Right.
I love it.
It's just not perfect, which the first Guardians of the Galaxy is.
Right. Right.
But this does still Stabbin has some incredibly wonderful things. Something that I think about like pretty much all the time is I stabbed the newspaper guy and took his little truck. Now I stab people and drive away. I'm like, pun, 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 pun.
Yeah.
Also, like, so that's one of two car sound effects he makes in this song, where he talks about, I have the shit runs on my little newspaper truck. So it's the same newspaper truck, but now it runs on a tank of blood. And he doesn't even bother making a rhyme because he's like, it's so hard to sneak because of the muffler that just makes a muffler sound with his mouth as an entire line of this rap song.
Yeah.
It's very good. It's extremely good. All of the sound effects are fantastic in this. The Whut, the 3-6 Mafia studio, and I started rocking it, and
Yeah.
yeah, the only downside in this song is the Lilith Fair stuff.
He does stab Slipknot in this song.
Yeah, that's why they wear masks.
And I guess that turned into some false beef or whatever, and then Howard Stern tried to surprise ICP when ICP was on as guest, and he tried to surprise him with Slipknot, and Slipknot came in and tried to be edgy or whatever, as they are, and it ended up being nothing, and they ended up complimenting each other, saying that they actually liked each other's gimmicks and styles or whatever.
Awesome. That's pretty awesome that he tried to fix a beef that didn't exist.
Right.
That's pretty good. Well, Ryan, this is our first mention of Slipknot in the podcast. Why don't you tell everyone about your deep relationship with the band Slipknot?
Well, I don't know what you're talking about specifically. Are you talking about when I ran into Slipknot at Halloween?
I mean, I could be talking about that, but I know that you used to be a massive Slipknot fan.
I was a pretty big Slipknot fan. Well, I mean, I like their first record. I don't know. I went and saw them in concert.
You haven't seen them in concert?
No, I went and saw them in concert. Yes. I can't remember who I saw them with. System of a Down,
at the first gathering of the Juggalos.
No, it was in San Francisco. And they fucking rocked the house really, really hard, and Robbie threw up because he was screaming so hard. But one thing that the lead singer did, which is really rad, and sometimes we get to see this at like hardcore shows or whatever, when the crowd's really into what the band's doing, and the band does some crowd control and moves people around or whatever. So Corey had everybody sit down on the ground, and when he first requested it, everyone's like, there's no fucking way we're all going to be able to sit in this venue. But he got everybody to sit down, and then he did a part, and he's like, when I get to this part, I want everybody to jump up all at the same time. And so that's what everybody did, and it was fucking mayhem. Like, it looked so cool when everybody jumped. It just turned into this a big mass of flies or whatever, you like couldn't even see anything. It was just a swirling mass of black. As people were like climbing all over each other or whatever, running around. It was really rad.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a really good show. And then their second album came out, and I was like, yeah, I don't really like these guys.
Nice.
No diss if you like Slipknot. I liked the first one. That was enough for me.
Yeah, I like that. I like the idea of just like adding yourself into the mythology of a band, like ICP being like, oh yeah, I Slipknot wears masks because I stabbed them all in the face.
We also cut off the Def Leppard's drummer's arm.
Well, you can ask him. Well, no, he cut Def Leppard's drummer's arm off. I took that to mean the one that he still has.
Oh.
That's what I take the joke of that to be. But I could be wrong. Every other time I listen to the song, I take it the other way. Like, I'm the reason that, I like it. I think it's funnier him saying, I cut his existing arm off, I cut his remaining arm off, because everyone knows that he lost his arm in a car crash. Everyone knows that's why the Def Leppard drummer has one arm.
Yeah.
So, whatever. Who cares? My other favorite sound effect in this song is the talking about meeting with the president of Ireland. I'm in a business meeting. I'm looking at him, I'm smiling, and in the background. That's fun.
I like his Norman Smiley.
Oh,
What are
yes.
you doing?
What are you doing? Very good. For those of you who aren't aware, Norman Smiley, there's obviously a big section of wrestling here because he was a wrestler. He wrestled the best. But Tony Schiavone was the longtime announcer for WCW. I went to shake his hand before the match. I went to shake his hand, but I stabbed him in the eye. Probably a reference to the fact that like anytime you're new in a company. As a wrestler, you're required to shake everyone's hand in the company. Everybody, every last person, from like the scrubbiest scrub pro wrestler to the PA guys to the boss to the announcers to the guys running the lights. You're required to like go around and introduce yourself to absolutely everybody. This is a tradition that persists to this day. If I'm at a wrestling thing backstage covering something for an outlet or something, I will have a bunch of wrestlers come up to me and introduce themselves because they think that I'm a person that they need to introduce themselves to. So that's awesome. a weird little bit of carny stuff that still happens to this day, but definitely happened at the time of WCW. If you're a wrestling fan, you probably most recently heard about this several years back when the Young Bucks ran afoul of both Rob Van Dam and Booker T, because when the Young Bucks were just getting started in Impact Wrestling as Generation Me many years back, both Rob Van Dam and Booker T at different times thought that the Young Bucks didn't go out of their way to sufficiently introduce themselves to all the veterans and everyone else. Booker T had a big sense of humor about it later when the Bucks got to be a big deal, where they all posted a picture of themselves shaking hands with Booker T on Booker T's like social media, and it was fun, and everyone had a laugh.
I didn't realize the Young Bucks was Generation Me.
Oh yeah. You're welcome. But Norman Smiley was a journeyman, long-time English wrestler. He's an English wrestler, and he was in WCW for many years, and basically just like sort of a lower talent, like enhancement talent guy. And then people started enjoying Norman Smiley, even though he was like just a jobber, because they enjoyed his appearance, because he's this like sort of 70s porn looking guy. He's got like a mustache, he's balding, and he's like just like got total dad bod, and he wore like these little yellow Speedos, and so people would get a kick out of just seeing him. And then, like all people back in the gigantic Attitude Era wrestling boom, everyone on the card top to bottom got their own little thing to do. So he started doing this thing called the wiggle, where he would basically do like the butt head, like from Beavis and Butthead, like when they're dancing to music in front of the couch. So he would like thrust and then like act like he was spanking somebody. Yeah. And he would just do that in matches. And it started like he always lost, but then like people literally started reacting to that. And then he would occasionally win a match. And then he got thrust into the hardcore scene when they started the hardcore division. And his gimmick at that point was that he was terrified of wrestling hardcore matches because he didn't want to. So he would start wearing like a football helmet and football pads while other guys were like hitting each other with kendo sticks and stuff. And he would scream and run away, but that wouldn't stop him from winning the hardcore title sometimes. But anyway, that's Norman Smiley. And as of right now, in this day, Norman Smiley is several years into, he is currently one of the head trainers at NXT. So he is responsible for training all of your favorite wrestlers for WWE now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's a little bit of history.
Yeah, I love hearing wrestlers that amused me back in the day, doing stuff still, training and apart. Makes me happy.
Mm-hmm. I do like the idea of him hiding a knife in his spandex and
fucking relax.
Yeah. I like that he stabs Norman Smiley multiple times and jumps out and ran, and everyone starts chasing him because they're like, oh, that fucking guy just stabbed Norman Smiley a whole bunch and also stabbed Tony Schiavone in the eye. But yeah. So yeah, anything else to say about this song, guys? Not a goddamn thing. Well, guys, I think we got time for one more this week, so apologies to listeners. We're only going to do 3 this week, but this last one's a biggie. Guys, we're going to talk about what's possibly ICP's most perfect single of all time. We're going to talk about the song Tilt-A-Whirl. So if you haven't listened to it, go ahead and listen right now. So Tilt-A-Whirl was released as the single off of this Bizaar album, and it had a video. For some reason, somehow, Tilt-A-Whirl apparently was ranked by VH1 as one of the 40 most awesomely bad metal songs ever, which is strange and weird. So I guess this is
for a metal song, it is pretty bad.
I guess this is a metal song. But it's got a video that's pretty cool. I love the way the song starts, and then I love the way the song continues, and I love the way the song finishes, because I love this song. It is basically the only song on this Bizaar album that talks about an attraction at the Dark Carnival, which is a staple and mainstay of the Joker's Card albums, obviously. But this one talks about the Tilt-A-Whirl, and they're bringing people on, and they're just gonna kill them. They're gonna kill them with the Tilt-A-Whirl. And this one, from what I understand, the ride kills people. And they talk about we're about to rip and kill in the lyrics, but the single version is a clean version, because he says, look and wonder if you will, because we're about to rip and kill. But on the censored version, he says, we're about to shock and thrill.
The clean version, they did a really good job.
No, it's awesome. It really is.
They did a really good job of like changing the lyrics and it still being like relevant to the song.
Yeah, and
its version of the song. Yeah,
and it's also notable that they were able to do a entirely clean version that kicks just as much ass when they have to basically censor the entire song, because this is a song about killing people. Yeah. Ryan, how do you feel about Tilt-A-Whirl?
Yeah, man, this fuck this song. This song's rad, man. Love this song. I feel like this is like the when I listen to this song, I feel like it's ICP just fully embracing who they are and what their sound is, right? Like this is there's rap, there's electric guitars, there's singing. I just feel like this is like the full realization of their like creative effort, I guess, in my mind. Where they're just, to me, it feels like they're just comfortable being themselves, right? The samples are gone. This is all original music, live instruments or whatever. I just imagine, like you were saying, imagine how much fun they had recording these. I just feel like, and I said it, like them just kind of goofing off, but really just like trying everything. You know, there's a skit later where they've got a bongo drum, and that just doesn't seem to me like something that you would have in the studio for an ICP recording session. And so I just think they're really pushing their creativity on this album, but this is what it's building towards. Like this is the product that ICP want. At least I think. I don't know.
Yeah, and to me, when I listen to this song, I picture it as one part of a bookend that will continue on the other Bizaar with Let's Go All the Way. Because to me, Tilt-A-Whirl and Let's Go All the Way are like two sides of the coin, not just because they're the two singles off of these two albums, but also because like they're very similar, like aesthetically, and they're very similar in tone and in feel and in like celebratory sort of nature. But it's like this song's about sort of like the blood and guts of the Dark Carnival, like the aspect where like you like one of the like the necessary part of the Dark Carnival is, you know, having to murder the wicked, but then Let's Go All the Way is about the celebratory part of like, yeah, we're all in it together. We're all part of the Dark Carnival, but along with the blood and guts and punishment, there's the sense of community and belonging, and then like getting to party because everyone's on the same side. And of course we'll get to Let's Go All the Way when we get to that album. But to me, the two songs are very linked.
That's awesome, dude. That sounds rad.
And of course, Let's Go All the Way is a cover.
Dude, are you guys feeling like, I don't know why I ever had this thought, but I always felt like the clowns are on the ride with them. And all the blood is spraying all over them, and they're bouncing around in this horrible scene as well, but they can't die. And so they don't mind riding the ride with everybody dying all around them. That's kind of what I think about in the chorus, because he's just saying they all die, they all die. And I guess he could just be watching them, but I feel like it's happening around him.
Yeah, like there's also the chance that because they're talking about the hatchet isn't responsible for if your head gets chopped off, or we're gonna spin you until your soul fucking flies out of your body or whatever. You're gonna see visions of all the bad shit you did. But there's also this sort of insinuation of come into the Tilt-A-Whirl because we're gonna be up there just fucking murdering the shit out of you.
I do. Well, he does say before your guts rip out your chest.
Yeah.
Or what? Do you tell me any last request before your guts rip out your chest? Fuck all that. Don't give him nothing. Slap his ass and press the button. So maybe that's just a ride. They're just the operators.
I thought he was saying strap his ass in, press the button, not slap his ass and press the button.
Oh, I thought it was slap his ass in, press the button.
Got it. Well, either way, not slap his ass and press the button.
Right, you can do both if you want. Slap his ass and then slap his ass in.
Mm-hmm. But the other thing I want to mention, and not a famous verse because it's not famous, but this is the first time that ICP uses the word or term heli. And they use it again on this album, and I haven't listened to the other Bizaar yet, so I don't know if they will use it on the other Bizaar albums, but this is clearly them experimenting with a new word, because he says, clamp his arms up to his side, it's gonna be a heli ride, and later they say heli again, not really, because they're not really using it in exchange of the Northern California coinage hell of, which eventually became hella, but at this time would probably still have been hell of. So they're not using it to be interchangeable with hella, because he's not saying it's going to be a hella ride, but heli is a pretty good word, guys, that I think that maybe ICP should have pushed a little bit harder. Maybe if heli had been their motherfucko, maybe it would have entered the lexicon a little bit more. Because heli is pretty good.
Yeah, you just don't get a lot of opportunity to describe things as heli, unfortunately.
Well, if you're the Insane Clown Posse, you do.
I guess that's true.
Or man, that traffic was heli.
Right. But you said it was, I like what you said earlier, that it's kind of like a good summation or whatever of the band as well, because the people that they kill, we like to have the ride song. That's a great part of an album, right? We're happy to have that. And then there's a sort of formula to that as well. We're going to get some knowledge about the background of the Dark Carnival through the people that we're going to kill in this song.
Mm-hmm.
So we have, the first one is a chicken, a racist. The second verse is a rich person. Mm-hmm. And then the third one is
swallowed up his butt.
and a child abuser. So, we got the domestic violence, so everything is covered. So people, first introduction, you can get some of the philosophy off the bat as well.
Now, you talked about the fuck the line, don't give them nothing. They have some really awesome alternate deliveries in this song, like the "Welcome to our spectacle, Connie rides eccentrical." There's just really good them having fun with shit, and of course the get up on it, get up on it, get up on it, get on, get up on it, get up on it, get up on it, get up on that fucking rules. Right. Yeah. Oh, God, this song rules, guys. I kind of want to just stop this podcast and start listening to this song right now. Is this the best song so far on this album? Because if it is, that's impressive. Because, as we have established, Rainbows and Stuff is the only misstep so far in this opening stretch of this first entire half of an album.
Yeah, there'll be a couple more songs that are bad coming up.
No, but through the first 7 tracks, is this the best track on the album?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah? Better
this
than
is my favorite.
Better than Take Me Away?
Yeah, this is my favorite song on this album here.
Oh, nice. Spoilers. No, so the other thing I wanted to talk about for this song, the last thing I wanted to talk about this song, I had alluded to it back when we did the first episode of Bizaar, and in conjunction with us doing the Big Money Hustlers, where the Wicked Clowns Never Die thing of ICP has really come to the forefront, like from the end of Big Money Hustlers through this era of ICP, is like Wicked Clowns Never Die is like Wicked Clowns Never Die is the punchline of Big Money Hustlers. And in Take Me Away, we talked at length about how the metatextual comment on ICP by the Insane Clown Posse is, we give you freedom from having to worry about your bullshit life. Like, that's the service we provide and offer. But there's also that aspect of Wicked Clowns Never Die, because the intro of the storm taking over the United States or the world, they're saying, Wicked Clowns Never Die. And now at the end of Tilt-A-Whirl, Shaggy 2-Dope brings it back around. He says the Dark Carnival will never die. And he takes it a step further, which to me is extremely powerful. Like, where he says, all we do is think about dying. We wish we die. We hope we die. The only problem is we ain't never, ever, ever gonna die. And that's just so, that's so big to me. Like, that's such a big concept to me, is the Wicked Clowns Never Die, part of the mythos, combined with, this canonization of, all we do is sit around wanting and wishing and hoping to die, but we're not going to.
Shit, man.
Yeah,
That's
it's
great.
great. Yeah. It is great.
Do you guys have any thoughts about that?
Huh?
Do you guys have, thoughts about that? Am I off base here?
No. No, I think it's actually perfect, because it's something that I also made a note about, and have thought about too. And, especially because they do have, if you tie it into, darker songs where, even if they're, bad people, it's usually not themselves where they want to kill themselves, and that'll even happen later on in the song where someone will kill themselves because they're a piece of shit. So, because of that stuff, it's even if they wanted to kill themselves, but it's not a curse. It's not a curse. They'll only go once the wagons come. They're not going to die. They're going to be taken to heaven on the wagon. Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's great. What?
Well, I was kind of thinking about what Joe Bruce and Joe Utzler are thinking about their lives, right? Well, we've mentioned that a couple times so far in this episode. And so when you were asking Bill, or when you were talking about that, I was thinking they're trying to get out of their record contract right now. They want to put this there. Well, and also I forgot to mention this earlier. Violent J mentions his audio book that up till now, the 5 Jokers cards, they immediately came to him, one right after the other. But for this 6th one, he didn't know. And it was a really long time. People kept asking him, and he's like, I don't know. It hasn't come to me. I don't know. And so that was one piece of probably, too, why there was some time in between. But so the history is that they're trying to get off this record label. Basically, they're going to be going back, right, to Psychopathic Records and doing it independent again, because they have enough clout. They have enough status and support. They know what their sound is. They know who their fans are. And so they have the ability to be creative and do whatever kind of music that they want. And so what I'm thinking is that longevity or that eternal nature or whatever, it's solidified now because they made it. And they have it's no matter what happens, the message is going to keep going. Now they even have Twiztid in the wings who are spreading that and going out that way and being successful, and they see it all growing underneath them, right? And how exciting that must have felt for them, and how powerful, right? And this is when we saw ICP, didn't Ruby say that? She said that in the Snake Busters video, that her dad hasn't been rich since 1999.
Yeah. And
so that's this time, this is when they're at their absolute peak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's awesome.
I don't like the idea of thinking that they're not rich anymore.
I mean, I'm sure they're doing okay. So let's go ahead and put a pin in it for now, guys. We will come back next week with the next installment of Bizaar Album 1. We're going to get through at least a few of the tracks. So the next few tracks are We Gives No Fuck, Please Don't Hate Me, and Behind the Paint. Maybe we'll get to My Homie Baby Mama. We'll see how it goes. No promises. And you can find us on Twitter at Dim Carnival, on Instagram at Dim Carnival. You can email us, dimcarnival@gmail.com. But until next time, guys, I'm Bill.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Ryan.
And fire up the Tilt-A-Whirl. We'll see you all in hell.